Your forecast first, sponsored by Natex Heating, Cooling, and Plumbing.
We got some cells out there that are still out there, but as you can see with the loop of our satellite radar, they are kind of fizzling out. So we'll be looking at them to be sticking around here for a number of hours or so, but overall, though, once you get to about 11 o'clock or so tonight, I think things should be pretty dry. 78 degrees in Champaign, 82 in Decatur, 82 also in Pontiac, 78 in Paris, and 77 in Effingham. Our Bright Your Weather camera on a roofing dog on it did have a lot of picturesque blue skies with occasionally some of those tall cumulus clouds with those cells, but now that it's dark, we can't see them, but we expect more of them for tomorrow. Wind speeds remain very light. In fact, a lot of spots are reporting in calm winds. So for the day tomorrow, we've got another very warm, very humid day. Temperatures will be able to get into the lower 90s again, and we're also looking at another chance for those isolated storms. WCIA 3 News starts right now.
Now from WCIA 3 News.
When my daughter died, was killed, murdered, it affected me.
So he's making sure no parent has to feel that way. What he's doing to help a community. The pandemic has left its mark on everyone. The question is how? What one university found.
Many businesses that haven't already shut down perhaps will have to shut down.
And they say it's because of the progressive income tax, why they claim it isn't as fair as the state says it is.
You're watching your local news leader. This is WCIA 3 News at 10.
I've seen the need in the community with the youth getting in trouble, getting kicked out of school.
When that man's daughter was murdered, the tragedy gave him the drive to do something to prevent young people from resorting to gun violence. Good evening, I'm Jessica Coons. 22-year-old Shamila Sanders was shot and killed in Decatur last month. Now her father has created a youth work program so kids will know there's more to life than acting out in anger. WCIA 3's Jennifer Jensen has the story.
2.5 weeks, I lost my daughter to gun violence.
A question weighed heavy on Shem Sanders' heart, even more after his daughter was murdered.
What can we do to make a difference one child at a time?
He's answering it with a solution by starting a work program for kids to change the mentality of young people and give them opportunities in life. The death of his own child, Shamila Sanders, affirmed his motivation to make this happen. The 22-year-old was shot in the neck in a random act of violence.
When my daughter died, was killed, murdered, I'm sorry, that it affected me. And I said, I don't want to see another child, no other death of a child, the way my daughter had to go out.
The senseless killing is what he's trying to prevent by influencing kids at a young age to do the right thing, control their anger, and do something productive with their time.
Just change their minds on trying to hurt each other and trying to figure out what we can do to stop all this violence out here.
Through this 4-week program, the kids who sign up will work 5 days a week, 4 hours a day, landscaping. They'll get free food, go out and do their jobs, and the rest of the time will be spent with mentors.
I mean, I've got some youth who really want to work, and I'm going to be out there with them, supervising, showing them how to do, cut yards the right way, and, you know, just pick up and clean up.
Sanders says by giving them incentive, it'll hopefully teach them to react differently and give them good habits that can turn into lifelong skills. They're asking for people to sponsor these kids. Each person in the program will get paid $100 per week for their time spent working. If you have lawns that need to be mowed, or if you want to donate money to the program, we'll have contact information on WCIA.com. Reporting, I'm Jennifer Jensen, WCIA 3, your local news leader.
If they can get enough sponsorships, they plan to continue this by doing an after-school program moving forward. Teachers at Stephen Decatur Middle School have volunteered to tutor the kids who are having trouble learning. 2 men were arrested after Sanders' death. Paul Folks faces murder charges. Levonsky Folks is charged with aggravated discharge of a firearm. Springfield police are investigating a homicide. This happened near North 11th and East Converse Streets. Officials say 29-year-old Willie Evans was shot outside of a house and pronounced dead at the hospital. If you know anything, contact police. And Urbana police are investigating after a man was shot 3 times near Oregon Street and Urbana Avenue. The man says 2 people came up to him and asked for a cigarette. The victim says he started to give them one when both pulled guns and demanded money. He refused and was shot. A Vermilion County mother is begging for someone to come forward with answers. Her son, Tyler Rodriguez, was killed early Saturday morning. The 26-year-old was walking on Route 150 outside of Danville, about a half-mile west of Henning Road, when he was hit and killed. Police say the driver left the scene. They only know the suspect was in a silver sedan. The victim's family says they will only have closure if they know who did this. To hear from them and to get a police tip line, go to WCIA.com. We have an update for you. State police want help investigating a former U of I cop. Gerald Sandage was arrested in April on charges of sexual assault, sexual abuse, and intimidation. He was in court today for a pretrial hearing. Police say they've learned new information. Sandage traveled frequently to Nashville, Tennessee, and stayed there. They're asking for people who know more about that to contact them. A woman in California started an online petition to make sure Ying Zhang is not forgotten. Zhang was kidnapped and killed by Brent Christensen 3 years ago. She was a visiting scholar at the U of I at the time. Christensen was sentenced to life in prison. Now an online petition is trying to get justice for her. Gloria Dang, who started this, says she wants U of I and the police department there to look at their policies on treating mental health and suspicious activity.
I think what's really important is that those in power should be held accountable and take the steps to create changes. So that's why I started the petition.
That petition has over 60 signatures. Now, Zhang's estate had filed a lawsuit against 2 U of I social workers. That suit said the social workers did not report statements that Christensen had made about wanting to kill himself and others. It was dismissed in both state and federal court. The U of I system is studying the social and economic impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic on Illinois. In a survey, they're asking 50 experts from across the state a series of questions, including whether or not the shift to phase 4 came too early or too late. WCIA3's Jen Lask is breaking down those responses.
In central Illinois, 30% of those surveyed say the move to phase 4 was premature. 10% say it came on time.
I think a lot of businesses have suffered.
And James Henkins agrees with the 40% who say that shift is overdue.
I'm glad that the restaurants are open back up. It's progressing, but not as quickly as I would like it to do.
He also lines up with nearly 30% across the state who think local leaders should have more discretion in what to enforce.
Because different sizes of cities, the different makeup of the different cities.
As for Nick Brzezowski,
as a pastor, I would appreciate any government to tell me what to do, because I'd rather it not be my decision. I think that would make it a lot easier if whether it's the city or state to tell us this is what we need.
He moved to Champaign to start Anchor Church right before the stay-at-home order went into effect. The order created an unexpected opportunity for the first service.
We may have expected like 40 people to come, and instead we've had over 1,000 people view our service.
Right now, roughly 60% surveyed say they think indoor services with safety guidelines are still not restrictive enough.
Just trying to make decisions is really difficult, so we do plan on starting to meet together in person, but it's really frustrating to try to figure out when, because it just seems like there's no clear answer.
No matter what, Brzezowski says he wants to be as safe as possible.
I think there's something incredible that the community is gathering together to care for, especially the most vulnerable people.
In Champaign, Jen Lask, WCIA3, your local news leader.
The majority of people surveyed say they believe the state will still be in phase 4 of Restore Illinois by the end of the year. There are nearly 600 new cases of COVID-19 across the state, bringing the total to more than 148,000. The positivity rate for the last 7 days has dropped to 2.5%. More than 7,000 people have died in Illinois, including another 37 in the last 24 hours. New for you tonight, child care centers and schools are adjusting after education officials announced face shields would not be safe enough in classrooms. Parkland College Child Development Care in Champaign has ordered new face masks with clear panels around the mouth. Director Adrian Shockley says at first it was harder to find those kinds of masks, but as more educators ask for them, more companies are offering them.
We wanted the children to still be able to see our mouths so that they could still pick up that language development that's really crucial, especially in the early years, as well as the social cues of seeing our faces and if we're happy and, picking up all of those cues.
She says parents should start talking with their kids about masks right now, maybe even making fun stories about why they need to wear them. Shockley also encourages parents to help their kids practice hand washing and covering their coughs and sneezes so they are prepared for the fall. It's a call to all artists, how your work could be featured throughout 2 cities. Plus, taxes could go up for some of the richest in the state, why business groups say it would soon happen to the middle class as well. And later, it's the first organized basketball event in the U.S. since the pandemic, and the House of Pain is giving fans a lot to cheer about.